Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be putting on our Chris Hansen hats. I don't know why they have to be hats, but we have some Chris Hansen type shit going on, and it's almost worse than just Chris Hansen because there's an added layer of zoophile shit. I'm gonna be combining two articles because both of these articles cover the same story but different aspects of the same story, so I will link both of those down below. Dad who made his kids have sex with him, his wife, ex-wife, and dog gets 341 years in jail.
Electric chair.
A father who spent 12 years forcing his children to have sex with him, his wife, ex-wife, and the family dog was jailed for 341 years. Christopher Senna, I want to say Senna because I don't want to think of John Cena when I say his last name, so I'm going to say Senna, 52, was handed 60 life terms Tuesday after he targeted 8 immediate family members and close relatives, then filmed the abuse. Senna of Las Vegas made his victims, who were both male and female, have sex with him, their mother, and stepmother while being filmed. Judge William Kephart told the court that only a sentence stretching hundreds of years would suffice for Senna's highly selfish and very perverted behavior, which saw him convicted of 95 sex crimes. I feel like this is a new theme with my videos where I think it's bad, but the more I read, the worse it gets, because there's raping children and then raping children with the mother and the stepmother, and filming it, and also forcing children to have sex with the dog.
In conclusion, shit is fucked up and Senna is a piece of trash.
According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, he added, "I'm ashamed that it had to come out of the city that I love." Bitch, sorry, rewind. What? Of everything that you have to be ashamed of everything that you have to regret, to hate yourself for, you're annoyed that it's from the city that you love. I'm sorry, bitch, like, what does that even mean? I'm getting goosebumps because I'm really annoyed. It's like a killer saying,
"I'm ashamed that I had to ruin my favorite white shirt because I got blood spatter on it while I was slitting people's throats."
Like, bitch, what? Like, maybe be sorry about slitting the throat, not about your stupid shirt. Same here. Maybe be sorry about what your children went through, what the victims went through, what the dog went through. Any of those things. You could have selected any of those things, but instead you go with this dumbass answer. I feel like you need 100 extra years for being a fucking idiot on top of everything else. Disgusting.
Disgusting!
Senna was convicted in February, with prosecutor James Sweeten telling the court, "We know who he is because he's demonstrated who he is over a decade." Burn. This was all done without concern for the children or anyone else. This is what he wanted and this is what he got. Totally agreed. There was no concern for anyone else. Like, rape is obviously a horrendous and disgusting thing. I think that's a given. But the fact that this person was raping children with whom he actually lived, and he got to see firsthand the effects of that trauma. He got to see that firsthand. Like, waking up every day, you're faced with it. Going to bed every night, you're in the same house as the people you are traumatizing. There's nothing more monstrous than that in my brain. There really isn't, because it's like you're disconnecting this disgusting thing you're doing, and you're going about your life as if it's any other day while your victims are in your same household. How do people even do that? The horrific abuse was finally uncovered in September 2014 during a SWAT raid at Senna's trailer. Officials obtained video footage of the sex attacks. The pervert's estranged wife, Deborah Senna, 53, and the first ex-wife, Terry Senna, 48, were handed life sentences before Tuesday's hearing. Both women took plea deals which saw them handed a single life sentence for allowing the abuse to happen, and will be eligible for parole in 10 years. 10 years? Like, that's it? I'm sorry, I don't think that's enough whatsoever. Both of these women were aware and saw what this guy was doing and didn't say jack shit, and they get 10 years? What's not very clear is how complicit they were in all of this. I don't understand. It's not very specific, but the fact that they both took plea deals, I mean, maybe it was just so they'd have a lower sentence and because they are quote-unquote innocent according to themselves, but it looks real bad. So let's move on to the other article. So here, it's interesting because in the previous article, Senna seemed like he was a kind of a family man, not like this was like a big sex ring type operation. However, According to this article, Christopher Senna, leader of sex ring in Las Vegas, receives multiple life sentences for sexual abuse. So it seems like there's another side. So it wasn't only in his family that this was going on, but it seems like it was far more vast, which is troubling. Okay, so here we have a little bit more about what's going on with the wife situation. Senna and his wife, Deborah Senna, and ex-wife Terry Senna were first accused of abusing multiple children for more than a decade in 2014. So it seemed like they were very complicit, like they chose to also partake in these traumatizing activities. The abuse was discovered after Deborah Senna, another adult, and one of the children told a family law attorney about the abuse. The attorney contacted the police and a SWAT team served a warrant on September 18, 2014. So it's still kind of murky how much the wives had to do with this. I still think that probably 10 years is too little, but we don't really know if he was abusing them or like forcing them into doing God knows what. During the month-long trial for Senna, each of Senna's 7 children, and Terry and Deborah, described the abuse they suffered at Senna's hands. So I know I keep pausing on this, but I'm really confused as to why the mother and stepmother are going to jail if they also were being abused, unless it was somewhere in between, like they weren't entirely complicit or entirely innocent, but were rather somewhere in between. The abuse literally happened for nearly 2 decades, 20 years. He was found guilty on multiple accounts of sexual assault of a minor, incest, production of pornography, lewdness with a child younger than 14, and child abuse. Some of the acts that were videotaped were played at his trial. Senna won't be eligible for parole until 2,360. I think is still a little bit short. In yet another article, there are quotes from one of the victims of Senna, who actually really cool. She recently graduated from college, so she managed to move on. That's what she told the judge. And then she said, "I was just an object for him to do awful things to because there was no one else to tell him otherwise," she said. "It was better without him in my life." Okay, so then there's a video that I can't put in due to copyright. I'm sure I'll get claimed within the second. James Sweeten, who is the Clark County Chief Deputy District Attorney, in this video was saying that he strongly believes that Senna was grooming all of the children he was raping. Also, on the note of, I've continued to wonder like how complicit the ex-wives were, because now they're both ex-wives. Sweeten says that he doesn't think that the ex-wives would have done this had it not been for him. So he's not saying that they're not guilty at all, but he's suggesting that really the master manipulator in all of this was Senna, unsurprisingly, and they, I don't want to say went with it as much as maybe were manipulated or maybe were forced or threatened to go with it. So I tend to agree with what he said. I don't think that they're innocent, but I also wouldn't necessarily think that any of this would have happened without Senna starting it or controlling it. So after filming, I came across yet another article from the Las Vegas Review-Journal where there's a little bit more of the details of what was going on inside the household, which could help clarify the never-ending question of how complicit are the ex-wives. So one of the victims came forth, and as we can see here, it says he would monitor phone calls and tell the women how to dress. He prohibited them from making friends. He set up video cameras around their trailer, inside and out, watching them at all hours. If they did not obey his orders, the children would be beaten and sexually attacked. The accuser, who asked not to be identified by age or gender, called Deborah and Terry Senna good people who were beaten, tortured, threatened, and controlled by Christopher Senna. "Our father is in jail where he belongs," the accuser wrote. "Deborah and Terry Senna continue to be victims of the state, and the absence of our mothers continues to victimize us kids." So this is actually really sad because I feel like the victims are paying twice the price in the sense that they're also without their mothers, so they have even less of a support system, which is really unfortunate because in the other articles it wasn't made very clear that in fact they aren't guilty and were, along with the children, abused themselves. And one of the sadder things that was said in the video was also that a lot of the victims, couldn't bring themselves to come to court because of how irreversibly damaged they've been by this man. And I don't blame them whatsoever because that's horrendous, especially over such a long period of time, like 2 decades. It's so disgusting to me to think that Senna started this when all of these people that are now grown-ass adults were really young children, and that they had to go through that for so long is just not only disgusting, but genuinely unbelievable. And of course, I know that things like this unfortunately happen very often, so there are no words. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I was actually very surprised to not have heard of this, you know, like being blasted on the news, but then again, I feel like there's always too much shit going on and something always gets lost on the way. But definitely let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let's get right into the fan art.